What is up? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. Back here with some more DinoCrisis. And today I got a question for you. With DinoCrisis being available now officially on PS4 and PS5 where you can purchase it separately and not hidden behind a stupid PlayStation Plus paywall, I figured I'd ask this question of what would we like to see from the future of DinoCrisis? If we had DinoCrisis, the original one, brought back, how would you like it to be brought back? Would you want a remaster or would you want a remake? And that's a question that I'm going to go through over myself and see how I personally look at it, but let me know what you guys think. So, first off, either way, a remaster and a remake for me, I would take either one. I definitely have no problems with either one, but if I could only have one, what would I rather have? So, let's look at the benefits of a remaster first. Personally, a remaster is going to keep the game basically the same. There might be a few changes or differences, but not like changes in terms of things being remotely different. More like updating it, I guess you could say, in a way. I think the best example of this would be the Tomb Raider Remastered collection, which I absolutely love. I'm happy that we're getting a collection of 1, 2, and 3, and next year 4, 5, and 6. But basically, it took the same exact game, the same way you remember it, but it also gave the ability to play it in a new look way, the remastered look, as well as having a cool photo mode, which, as I mentioned in my review, has a double feature, as well as adding some of the old levels that were lost to a lot of people that played, that you can now finally play them on that version. But getting back to DinoCrisis, we could do it a lot like that, where it keeps in the same way you remember it, but maybe having a way where you can update it visually, have it go back and forth, which I think is just the coolest thing ever. Maybe possibly, I know some people aren't fond of tank controls. I don't personally have a problem with them, but maybe have the option of two ways of playing it. Modern controls and the old classic controls, which is fine to me. Having more playability, giving more options is never a bad thing. And then maybe just, I don't know, maybe possibly add one new feature, whether like a new mode or something like that. But a remaster in more parts than ever is just basically going to take the original game and just give it a new coat of paint. It's not going to fundamentally change it from the ground up, but it gives that familiarity as well as maybe making it look a little bit different with that new car smell. But let's look at the other side of the spectrum, is a remake. Now, a remake basically can take the existing property and do things a bit differently. It still gets to the same destination, but the path you travel is a little bit different. And for me, when I look at DinoCrisis, with the remake, I just feel like from a technological standpoint, you could update a lot of things to make things just look and feel so much better. I mean, obviously we have prime examples of a lot of games getting, an evolution of technology that have had recent remakes. You look at, Dead Space, you look at, Resident Evil 2 Remake, you look at Silent Hill 2 Remake, and obviously their original versions of them are classic games, but with the updates to them technologically, you can see how far they can push the meter and how far things can look, sound, and play. So from that standpoint, a remake is great, as well as, adding new things there. Maybe things play out a little bit differently than you personally remember. Because I've always kind of been that person. It's like, I don't want something, if it is going to be remake, I don't want something to go 100% exactly the same. As long as it's not doing something that's making it progressively worse. But I do like, being kept on my toes, and maybe things are slightly different, a little bit, alter, making new players still enjoy them, but making the old players, kind of like, yeah, that's cool, I get it, not something I 100% expect. So they have that element there as well as making things, I guess, just run smoother and just be better. And that's the thing. I'm not going to sit up here, as much as I love DinoCrisis, sit up here and say it's a perfect game. They can improve on a lot of things. So me personally, if I had a choice between one or the other, I would have to go with a remake. And it's nothing against a remaster, but I think it comes to that point that I could see things done even better than they were. I think the biggest improvement they can do would definitely be in terms of the story. because let's just be honest, the story and the characters could use a lot of work. And I'm going to go more in depth and detail in another video about that, but you could have a lot more progression with the story and characters. You know, I like how the game starts in its introduction, but I wish you could have met the characters a little bit more, learn more backstory about them, and maybe even possibly, you know, control them, have them do more than they did in the game. I mean, look at poor Cooper. He never had a chance. I mean, that guy, they didn't even show his face, for goodness sakes. And I'm thinking, damn, they could do so much more with a remake there. Also, just in terms of, I guess, not just obviously how the game looks, it'll look a lot better in a remake, but you have so many more elements, you know, add a whole, more of a horror vibe than it already was, with a whole lighting feature, being in the dark, you know, being careful, sound, so many things you can elevate with a remake. You can also, I think, add a few more weapons and stuff, because I feel like one of the things with this game is that there's not a lot of weapons. It's more, I guess, the ammunition types you use when you're combining stuff like the sleep darts you use on the dinosaurs, but I just feel like they could just add a few more weapons, have a little bit more variety in the weapons and stuff like that. Obviously, you can still keep it the same where you find parts scavenged throughout the game, you know, to increase the weapons, whether you give them a stock or something like that, or a grip. But just having more variety with the weapons. And as I said, you can also add a dinosaur or two, because I would like a new enemy. I think I mentioned this in a comment earlier that I would definitely like some type of like distance spitter type enemy, like that one dinosaur from Jurassic Park that killed the Dennis Nedry character. I'd like to see something like that brought in, just something that adds another element to the game, just to make you feel like, hey, you got your familiarity, but you also have something thrown in there that makes it not as familiar as you remember, so it keeps you on your toes and keeps things feeling like familiar, but definitely not too familiar, so you're always kind of speculating what to do and what's going to happen next from a new and old fan's perspective. I also think they could make the game even a little bit longer. Now, I will want to say this, is that I know a lot of people get real anal about length of a video game, and I get it. The survival horror games are not traditionally supposed to be extremely long games. I'm not saying they have to be the shortest things in the world, but usually a lot of the most famous speedruns come from survival horror games, in terms of once you learn the tricks of the trade, how fast you can beat them and stuff. I'm not saying I want this game to be short or shorter. I do like it to be a little bit longer, but I hope they add some more things up substantial. So as I mentioned, a new enemy, maybe some new puzzles and new character story moments. As I said, you know, with the characters, as I want to say this more for another video, but have them have more to do than just what they traditionally do, in terms of just only appearing cutscenes and then just disappear until you get to the next cutscene. You know, add a little bit more variety to the gameplay. You know, maybe the characters, you know, Regina, how do we know Regina, but maybe, you know, you could possibly even play for a little bit of Gail and Rick and give them something to do, or maybe even give Cooper a little bit more of a role, because poor Cooper, man, he got done real dirty. But overall, as I said before, a remaster would still be an excellent way to go. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's probably more of the safe way to go, but I'm more high risk, high reward. And I think it's just more coming from a standpoint that I could see it done really well with how technology has improved, with how they could do so many things so much better than the original. Because I'm not, as I said, I'm not part of that drinking a Kool-Aid club of, hey, you know, DinoCrisis is perfect. It's not. It's far from perfect. There's a lot of things they could do better, but what they did do really well, I think they can elevate that even more. And the things they didn't do as well, I think they can definitely elevate that, and I don't think it'd be that hard to do. I just hope one day Capcom understands that you have a huge potential with this game, and with so many other indie studios, ironic enough, doing dinosaur horror games, maybe they'll just finally wake up and be like, hey, there is a market for this. People have been asking for this. You know, swallow your pride, pick one or the other. I personally would go with remake, but I have no problem with remaster. But swallow your pride, give fans what they ask for. And I think if they do it right, they do it well, and I'm willing to take that risk, and I think it could be a legendary survival horror game, even more than the original one ever could be. But that is my opinion. I want to hear your guys' opinion. Would you have DinoCrisis remastered or remade? Let me know down in the comment section down below, and also get ready for my next video where I talk about specifically what I would change in a remake if DinoCrisis had to be remake. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, and hopefully I see you guys back in the next one. Thanks, and I'll see you all later. Peace.